Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing very well today and you're ready to start your day with me, Maha Mukhtim, only on PTV World this morning. And it is Friday. It is a very important day. It's one of the most, it's a day when everyone gets together. They go for their Jummah prayers. And for all those that are fasting, I hope the week has treated you well and that it has been going okay. But due to the reason of my short of breathness, we're going to get started with the show because we have a lot to cover today. It's going to be very, very interesting. So let's start with the news and what's happening around the world, and then I will introduce to you our wonderful guests. The government has put limited restriction on exhibition and screening of Indian films on Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Central Board of Film Censors has issued the necessary notification. We should be promoting our own talent as well, so that's kind of, I guess that's open to debate. Okay, art lovers gathered in Moscow for a chance to see famous Russian paintings on display before they are auctioned off by Sotheby's in London next month. Among the 20 items exhibited was a rare water piece called The Secret of Temptation. And Hong Kong locals scaled a bun-laden tower to collect the traditional desserts as part of celebrations to mark the end of the Chung Chau Bun Festival. Okay, so that was happening around the world, and some news about what's happening in Pakistan too. And you know, it's we need to keep up to date with what different regulations are on, because you know, we don't want to get caught out and we don't want to get into trouble unnecessarily, especially if we are fasting as well. So do make sure that you know you do check out what is going to be on display at the cinemas, and do support your local talent and local people who are making, you know, national people who are making the films within Pakistan. But now we have changed the start of the show. We will still be looking at a verse from the Quran, as you know, which we're going to be doing every day. However, today we're going to start off with the Naat. But before we start with the Naat, I want to introduce to our guests, and then we will get started. So, as we've been having every day since Ramzan, we've been joined by Dr. Kaval Kesser. She is our Quran teacher. She's been teaching for kids for over 20 years. Character building through the Quran and Sunnah. Assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you so much for being here today.
It's my pleasure.
Besides Dr. Kaval Kesser, we've been joined by Yasser Masood Afaq. He is a clinical psychologist and an addiction expert. Assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Wa alaikum assalam, good morning to you too.
Thank you for being here today.
Pleasure is mine.
Great, and you know, the link will be made once we start the conversation with Dr. Kaval Kesser, because today we will be covering Surah Al-Maida, and which talks about addiction. And you know, this is something that a lot of people are going through, and maybe, you know, everyone with children out there, this is something that they need to be aware of as well. But finally, we've been joined by Ali Raza Sultani. He is our Naat Khwan today, and actually we'll be starting the show with him. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. Shukriya. So आप अभी Ali Raza आपने शुरू करना एक नात से, ठीक है? So we're going to get started, but we'll start with Ali Raza. Shukriya.
हो जाती है अब तो हर मकबूल दुआ मेरी हो जाती है अब तो हर मकबूल दुआ मेरी हाँ मैं जब से हुआ तेरा सुनता है खुदा मेरी और बस एक तमन्ना है तेरे शहर मदीना की जब रोज़े पे पहुँचूं मैं आ जाए कज़ा मेरी जब रोज़े पे पहुँचूं मैं आ جائے قضا میری ہو جاتی ہے اب تو ہر مقبول دعا میری اور ایک رازی بتا دوں میں اب اپنے طبیبوں کو ایک رازی بتا دوں میں اب اپنے طبیبوں کو کہ تم نعت نبی چھیڑو یہی ہے دعا میری تم نعت نبی چھیڑو یہی ہے دعا میری ہو جاتی اور مرکد میں میری آ کر سرکار نے فرمایا جی مرکد میں میری آ کر سرکار نے فرمایا کہ گھبرانا اے دیوانے ایک نعت سنا میری ہاں گھبرانا اے دیوانے ایک نعت سنا میری اور وہ میرے تصور میں آ کر مجھے کہتے ہیں کہ آ جاؤں گا میں ناصر محفل تو سجا میری میں جب سے ہوا تیرا سنتا ہے خدا میری
Lovely, shukra. Thank you so much. That was great. So now now that we've been eased into that kind of calm kind of state, we're going to get the conversation started with Dr. Kawal Kesser. And today we're going to be mixing up the conversation because we have been joined by Yasser Masood as well, and he is our clinical psychologist. So today, as I mentioned, we're doing Surah Al-Maida,
Al-Maida.
and it is talking about addiction, the warnings of addiction, preventative measures of addiction, and the issues of addiction as well. So, I keep trying to relate it to the historical element as well, because 1500 years ago, or
1400.
14, up to, so that's when they're talking about these things, and we've recently within our modern sciences been finding out different methods to kind of deal with this issue. So Dr. Kawal Kesser, let's start with you, and then we will also bring Mr. Yasser into the conversation.
Inshallah. Let's look at the verse that is there in Surah Al-Maida. This is verse number 90. In this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, innamal khamru wal maisru wal ansab wal azlam rijsum min amal shaitan fajtanibuhu la'allakum tuflihun. And the verse, the translation goes, O believers, indeed intoxicants, gambling and sacrificing on the stone altars to other than Allah and divining arrows are but filth and from the work of shaitan, so avoid it that you may be successful.
Okay.
Success over here has been related or linked to intoxication and how we work on it.
Okay.
Our religion is according to our nature, and we find out this is the third commandment which came for curtailing addictions and intoxication. Now, in the first commandment which came in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just warned that this is a sin and it has some benefits,
Okay.
but you better avoid it.
Okay.
Now, at that time, the people who wanted to attain the highest level of piety, they put a stop to it. But the rest of them, they continued because they saw benefit in it.
Okay.
Then came the second verse, and by that time, what happened was it was in Surah Nisa. What happened was that the people were praying, and one of them was leading the prayer, and he was in a state of intoxication.
Yeah.
So he was a bit messed up in conveying when he was reciting the verses.
Okay.
That was the time when the second commandment came, and the second commandment very clearly stated that do not go close to Salah, praying, if you are in a state of intoxication.
Right.
So with this second commandment, what happened was that everyone became particular because as Muslims, they were really, really concerned about their 5 daily prayers.
Yep, exactly.
So that meant that their habit was gradually getting tamed down.
Yeah.
And then ultimately came this third commandment that I just told you about. This is from Surah Al-Maida, verse number 90, in which the address was to the believers. The believers were told, get rid of khamr. So let us define what is this khamr. Khamr is something which covers your intellect.
Okay.
It could be something you're eating, drinking, sniffing, smoking, but anything that goes in your system and it is going to intoxicate you to such an extent that you are going to harm yourself and also your relations. You are getting a physical problem, mental problem, emotional, spiritual, at all levels you are suffering. And in this would find out in a hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ said, the great quantity of what intoxicates a person, a little quantity of that is haram.
Okay.
So haram means it is unlawful. Basically in Surah Al-Maida, we get all the commandments related to halal and haram, what is lawful and what is not lawful, related to our eating and our lifestyle.
Okay.
So this came in that. So the term that is used over here is rijs. Rijs is extremely repulsive.
Okay.
It is not something that you need to enjoy. And we do understand, I'm sure, inshallah, Yasir is going to talk about all the physical and the emotional aspect of it. And the next verse, which is verse number 91, tells us, Innama yuridu shaitan, indeed shaitan, what he wants is, an yuqiya bainakumul adawa wal bagda. Through this, create animosity and hatred among you. And fil khamri wal maisir wa yasuddakum an zikrillah wa anis salah, and he's going to stop you from remembrance of Allah and also your prayer. Fahal antum muntahun, so are you not going to put a stop there? So like this is a very, very strong message. And what I find really amazing was, if you go back 1400 years, the moment this message came and all the people in Medina, they were engaged in different activities, and the people who were engaged in these intoxicants, what they did was they immediately either put it away, release it, throw it away, just trashed it.
Okay.
And they immediately transformed. And that is such an amazing aspect of the religion because we see a lot of movements taking place in all over the world, and it has become a big issue all over the world, and everyone is really concerned about addictions now.
Absolutely.
It is destroying people as well as homes,
Okay.
and obviously, you know, disrupting the society.
Okay.
So in this, what we find out that the spiritual element, when you are doing something for your creator, it adds value to your actions. And when your actions are transformed, that's when you start making the move in the right direction.
Okay, wonderful. So it's a very short one, isn't it? This verse.
It is like it hits the nail at the right spot.
Exactly. I don't think there's any, okay.
And I would like to narrate one hadith as well, in which the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah has cursed intoxicants, somebody who is involved in intoxicant, and the whole list has been given. Quickly, I'll go over the list. The one who drinks it, he's cursed. The one who pours it for others, he's not drinking, but he's facilitating. The one who sells it, the one who buys it, the one who makes it, the one who is made for, the one who carries it, the one who is carried to, and the one who consumes the money from its sale.
And this is all in the Quran.
This is a hadith.
This is a hadith.
This is
okay.
a hadith. That means we should not be engaged at any level in the promotion of this addiction.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so now, and I will bring back, the element of how parents can, kind of use this verse to teach their children as well. But I want to bring Yasser into the conversation now. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, within the Quran, 1439 years ago, exactly, I did look up the year, how they're talking about addiction. Today, we are still dealing with addiction. It is not something that has gone away or it's not been eradicated. If anything, we're seeing this problem becoming quite prevalent. What are you seeing at the moment within Pakistan context? What kind of addiction are we going towards, and why do you think we're going towards it?
Right. It is very amazing to know that the Quranic wisdom, which was there revealed to us quite a few centuries ago, is being affirmed by the latest research and psychological discoveries. Now, coming to your question, in Pakistan, unfortunately, this incidence of drug addiction is on increase. Multiple social, personal, emotional factors can be accounted for this increment in the drug addiction and the prevalent incidence. But I would like to talk about the social and environmental factors which make the lion's share in the causal factors of drug addiction. We do talk about peer pressure, environmental factors, some sort of trauma one goes through, and to get out of that trauma, they think that using drug will ease their pain on their emotional and psychological grounds, which is the other way around, in fact. So these are the main factors. And another sorry plight of this drug addiction and the prevalence in country is to be discussed, that it is increasing on the part of youth, youngsters the most. And the excitement-seeking behavior and some peer pressure that it is something in vogue and comes with a style. And again, due to our educational inflation, that will ease their stress, which is stemming from their so to speak, over obsession with the studies and their inability to manage their relationships, which are not taught or trained in even in our academic programs. So this is actually a multitude of factors which eventually lead our youngsters and even young adults to fall prey to this menace called drug addiction.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad you said all of that. It's so wonderful to hear, you telling us all the different issues behind it. So now let's break that down. So there are some things within our control. So Dr. Koval, with parents, like that's the thing, it's about teaching the children how to manage their relationships or how to handle the stress in the real world. What can parents do? What does the Quran advise, or, what kind of things are you teaching the kids through the Quran and Sunnah?
What we need to understand in these times and ages, we are sitting on a ticking time bomb. And all the parents need to be aware of that. And for me, the solution comes from the very next verse in Surah Al-Maida, which is verse number 92, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ وَاحْذَرُوا, and obey Allah and obey the messenger and beware. What basically the parents need to do is give them an environment of discipline at home and awareness at home, and also a good lifestyle. When we say Atiya Rasul, that means follow Sunnah way of life, which has all the habits and all the things that we talk about, like being disciplined, being punctual about things, working on your self-esteem, and also working on your habits, your communication skills, how you're going to handle different situations, the conflict resolution, and then also having the right focus in life. Like Yasser rightly said, that the pressure of studies, the parents need to sort of move that studies from the career and pressure more towards the personality building of their children. Obviously, when you start working on the personalities, the kids are going to become more particular about their studies. But when the focus is only on the numbers and the grades and the GPA, then there's a lot of shift, and the kids are not able to handle their relationships.
So then, yes, I want to bring, when you're seeing these issues, everything that you've listed, we have the Quran, we have the Sunnah, but this is one thing also we've been discussing, is that we, we read it in, its original form, which is wonderful and it should be done. But then the lessons that we need and the advice that it gives, you need to understand it in your own language if you're going to practice it. But how do you then, with this increase in youth, going towards addiction because of all the different stresses and pressures you've mentioned, what can they do? Like, what is the solution out there? Because I don't want to be negative on a Friday. It is a very important situation, but let's give solutions. How do you handle it?
Being psychologist, it is said that we need to be incurably optimistic.
Yeah.
So I will vindicate your intention to stay positive.
Great, thank
See, we can't come up with a one line or one size fits all approach or solution when it comes to drug addiction. Every individual falling prey to this problem comes up with a mix of social, cultural, personal, emotional, psychological attributes. So we need to take these individual differences into account.
Okay.
But even then, when there is a scientific knowledge, it's something more generalizable. When we talk about cure, it is possible through involvement of all the key stakeholders of one person who is addicted to drug, starting from his or her imminent family, immediate family, a friend circle. We use the word protectors and triggers.
Okay.
So we need to understand what are the triggers, what are the motivators when it comes to using or abusing drugs or substances. It might be peer pressure, it might be stress, or it might be any other factor like that. But when we talk about protectors, it is parents, it includes those friends who have a positive influence on that person. It is again our religious teaching being imparted in a practical way, while showing the wisdom more than ilmul kalam, or more than just a count of words. This is the spirit of our religious knowledge and its dissemination. So this thing constitutes one approach which is called community reinforcement approach, CRA.
Excellent.
So we have to involve the entire community around a drug addict to get a dependable cure.
Okay, wonderful. And you've highlighted some really key points there, and this is for both of you guys as well, that you've mentioned discipline in the home. You mentioned the role of the parents because they're a protector. But the thing is, because there's so much stigma attached to addiction, and we're not going to lie here. And if Shazad was here, I'm sure he would be arguing with me. We care more about our reputation than actually what is, dealing and resolving the issue that is actually what's the wrong thing. So with this whole discipline, and, this kind of framework that our elders set out for us, it becomes very rigid, so that communication breaks down. Let's start with Dr. Kaval, and then we'll move on to you. How do we, because everyone in the religion don't question, don't answer back, and, if your parents are saying something and you're addicted, you're not going to listen to them. If that communication is gone, you're not going to listen to them. So how do we do this? How do we maneuver?
From the Islamic perspective, we have been told, and I'm sure even the psychology and other areas of education and the fields also talk about the same thing. We have been told to start way before you are going to see the problem. Like when you start working in the relationship, exactly, the preemptive approach and the proactive approach that you need to adopt.
Okay.
Like you don't start talking to the kids when you see them coming home with some drug or somebody informed you about that, and that's the time when you want to talk to them. Yeah,
but they don't talk to them. You're going to get into trouble, or you're going to be disciplined, really strict.
You start giving them these messages when they're very young, like 4 or 5 years of age.
Okay.
And that's when you start creating awareness about different things. That's when you need to become conscious about their self-esteem. That's when you need to also address how they can resolve different small situations in their life related to peer pressure. And at the same time, I feel that the parents need to understand that they have to look at someone in their family, a near and dear one, who is engaged in this intoxication and addiction as a sick person. Like, when somebody gets sick in our family running high-grade fever, like you're not feeling well, so you're announcing it. You're announcing it. Every day you are saying, "Excuse me, I'm not feeling well." So
But it's an acceptable sickness.
exactly. That's
That's
what
the
we need to
problem.
do. We need to take it as an acceptable sickness, and so that, as Yasir said rightly, that we need the whole community need to be supportive in that.
Absolutely.
We can't be supportive unless we all accept it.
Absolutely. And you know, I was reading this. This is not actually just an issue in Pakistan. This is this is a global issue. And it's I was speaking to one of my friends from Germany yesterday. You know, it's when you also make something illegal and then someone starts to get involved in it, you make a criminal out of the person who's unwell. So Yasser, then how do we maneuver within this situation? Because there's so many elements that parents keep in their mind, which then kind of puts their child's wellness on the back foot. So how do we deal with this?
Any issue related to mental health, we have to have two approaches, preventive and curative. Dr. Kamal talked about preventive approach, and I would just add one more aspect to this preventive approach, and that is openness in communication. Right, in our society, which is seemingly a bit judgmental society, we are avoidant of open communication when it comes to parents and their kids. Now it's getting better, but the communication is very, very important. Two, when we come to curative aspect, we have to be very clear about one thing. Drug addiction is a disease. It's not a social kink. Yes, we can attribute it as a social or moral kink, but psychologically speaking, we have to take it as a disease. Until you will not have it as a behavioral or even a cognitive disease, you will not be able to destigmatize it. As Dr. Kaval mentioned, that we have to get it, we have to help parents and stakeholders of drug addicts take this thing as a disease. That will help them destigmatize it and to approach some sort of solution. Third, and very important, when we talk about drug addiction, it is not always related to illicit drugs. Rather, some legal, legitimate drugs which are available. Even OTC, unfortunately, we are not much regulated when it comes to pharmaceutical or pharmacological practices in our country. So we can go and we can talk, we can take benzodiazepine even without the prescription.
You can get really strong ones here, which is really shocking.
Indeed. And we see quite a lot of patients who may come to us with their problems related to anxiety and depression. But when we further probe into the issues, we see that they are taking some benzodiazepines for last 1 year or 2 years or even 3 years without even prescription. So we have to understand that as well. If our kids, you think that our kids need proper sleep, even parents ask them to take half a pill and get better sleep without prescription. So it is again this social education needs to be imparted.
Absolutely, that's really some very important points being raised today. I'm so glad. Okay, and so now, I think you guys have answered all the questions actually. But going forward, actually, yes, I want to ask one more question. You were talking about the peer pressure. Because a lot of times, you know, we are taught this. Parents do tell you, and they tell you gradually from young, don't steal, don't do drugs. These are the things why they're bad. But now, with the evolution of social media and the world being so connected, and how do we balance that? How are children supposed to balance that element of life? Because even as adults, we're struggling. Facebook or all these different social platforms. They create something inside, they trigger something, you don't feel good, then you go and find some comfort, temporary comfort somewhere else.
You touched a pain point on my part. And as these days I'm talking about the social media addiction as well, or the mobile phone addiction. See, when we come up with a mix of do's and don'ts, for don'ts, yes, we say what is not required to be done for our children, but we have to be mindful that we have to offer some alternatives. And the foremost alternative which I prescribe to my patients, our coaches, is to go for some physical exertion, exercise, sports, and healthy lifestyle modifications. And this is diminishing very rapidly from owing to the addiction to our gadgets and the digital media. And secondly, maybe again I would talk about some over-perceived pressure when it comes to studies. So for us, the sports and physical exercise and lifestyle modification related to your behavioral aspects, they have gone to the back burner.
Okay.
Yeah,
That-
another thing I would like to add over here is, if you're,
Please.
As Yasir has said, that now the dimension of addictions have expanded beyond just the intoxicants,
Yeah.
just the substance.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is screens, it is food, it is shopping, it is you get
Everything. You
across.
can get addicted to anything
Yeah.
if you
So
try.
the lifestyle change needs to be there, and we see world over that there are now people raising voices on that,
Yeah.
that we need to work on our lifestyle. And another important thing that I've seen is that even in the Western cultures, the very successful program, which is doing wonders for the alcoholics, is by the name of Alcoholic Anonymous.
Yep.
And in that,
AA.
they have just added the spiritual element, because the moment you add the spiritual element to everything, you make them Allah conscious,
Yeah.
and built in that hope in them. That's when
Exactly.
they start improving.
And even in the UN, the universal definition of, of wellness,
Mental.
includes spirituality. Sorry, Yasser, you want to finish your point?
Just one more thing.
Yes.
You talked about wellness. I like to state one thing wherever I get a chance.
Please.
And that is, the absence of illness is not wellness, right? If there is no illness, it means that still you are likely to fall prey to any illness in case you don't have reservoirs of resilience and vitality.
Okay.
So the lifestyle modification, the positive attitude towards life, good relationships and ability to manage, maintain, attain good relationships, they add to your reservoirs of being more resilient to compete and to fight against these temptations of life, be it any kind of substance and non-substance addiction.
Absolutely. And, this is wonderful that you were here. Thank you so much for being here on this conversation. It was very important, and we're going to invite you back because this is a huge topic, and it's actually one that need to kind of dive into a little bit more. Sorry, I'm struggling to breathe today. But now we're going to go and take a short break. And when you come back, we're just going to give you guys some little advice on, your dietary plans for Ramzan, because, over a week has passed now. So maybe we can have a bit of a refresher. Let's go for a short break. And when you come back, I'll introduce you our guest.
मोमिनो, तुम ऐसी बातें क्यों कहा करते हो जो किया नहीं करते?
كبر مقتا عند الله أن تقولوا ما لا تفعلون.
अल्लाह को
Have a bit of a refresher. Let's go for a short break. And when you come back, I'll introduce you our guest. Welcome back, everyone. And before the break, we were in discussion with our wonderful guests, and it was so important today. We're talking about addiction. And, you know, it's not about being addicted to illicit drugs, like our guest said. These days, you know, you have your on-screen, you know, TV, shopping, anything we can get addicted to it. But apart from the psychological element, the spiritual element, we need to look after our physical side. We need to be aware of what we're putting into our bodies, how we are, you know, what activities we are doing as well. And as our guest also mentioned, physical activity is very important. And during this month, people are still being very active. I have seen them going to the gym and not giving up. But to discuss what we should be putting into our bodies, what times we should be exercising, and how hardcore the exercises should be, we've been joined by our wonderful guest. He is called Shah Nawaz, and he is a fitness coach, and he's also a professional fighter, MMA fighter, sorry, at Fight Fortress as well. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you. And still in the studio, we have been joined by Ali Raza Sultani, who is our Nathwa, and he will be leading us out with the show as well. So thank you for staying. Okay, so now, Shah Nawaz, I'm going to start with you. Obviously, it's fasting. People are still trying to do exercises and working out. And
Yes.
when do you think they should be doing it? And should they be doing it during fasting? Because there's no water intake, there's no food, and it's hot outside. What should we do?
Okay. That's the concept of every person, especially in Ramadan. They are not taking proper food. They are not taking consumption of water is less. They're thinking like this. Actually, if you focus on your diet plan in normal life and in Ramadan, you compare the calories actually, like how many calories your body needs during Ramadan and in normal days as well. So if you keep your calorie level balanced, and you keep your body hydrate, it's easy for you to overcome and work out in Ramadan actually.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so then in order to make sure that we're doing our calories and our hydration, in Sari, what would you advise for all those people who are into their fitness? How much water should they be consuming? What kind of foods should they be eating?
Okay, let me break down this into the 4 portions of intake.
Okay, great.
We got 16 hours of Ramadan nowadays, and we got 7.5 hours to 7 hours for our intake. All
for binging.
Yes, exactly. So if we get 4 meals in 7 hours while taking a small portion of food and 2.5 liters of water, so it's gonna hydrate your body perfectly for the whole day. You don't going to feel dehydration, and especially the food what you're going to need to take in Sahri is let me calculate the calories perfectly for you. Like if you're going for 1 cup of yogurt, which costs 150 calories. If you go for the 2 bananas, it costs 250 calories. So and a few dates and 1 chapati, which goes 130 calories. It's 600 calories at the morning you are taking. So normal body, a human body needs 15 to 2000 calories a day to normally work out and do your job, whatever you want to do. So if in one intake you are consuming 600 calories, it means you have 900 calories left for next iftari, then another few more if you want to take after iftari, you want to take some more meal. So you can easily cover your calories.
Okay, fantastic. Actually, no one's ever broken it down like that. So excellent. Okay, so then, so in the morning, it's about also making sure, like you said, do the calorie count, but make sure it's healthy food.
Yes, it should be healthy food. And there's another thing in Ramadan, people starting suddenly, when Ramadan start, they start joining the gym. And there are a few people who already regular to the gym, and they are pre-planning in this Ramadan we need to either gain the weight and either lose the weight, either sustain the weight, or either lean their body. So it depends upon the person what he's planning actually. And I recommend to the viewers that they must pre-plan 1 week before Ramadan. So if suddenly they start fasting and do the planning, all the stuff, then they're going to get confused and they're going to take a week of Ramadan to get settled to all these things. If they start 1 week before, so they really give them a good results during Ramadan.
Okay, so that's for you guys for next year as well. So start preparing before. Right, so now let's move on, because I want to make sure we cover Iftari and Sari and then the workout. So now in Iftari, No, hold on, wait, no, I don't want to ask that actually. So then you've had a good breakfast.
Yes.
And you made a plan throughout the day that, in iftari I will have this, and then I will then break down my meals until Sahri the next day.
Yes.
If you're doing it like that, when should one person go to the gym, or when should they do their physical activity?
Yeah,
What's the peak time?
That's a good question, and
Because you have the rest of the day,
yes,
right?
Yes. So there are a lot of my clients who were really confused about this. That what time shall we join the gym? So it depends upon if you want like sustain your body weight, come after iftari. If you want to lose the weight, like 2 to 3 kg, you set a goal that I want to lose the 2 to 3 kg during Ramadan. So come before 30 or 1 hour before iftari.
Oh.
That's very important.
Okay.
But before coming iftari, it doesn't mean you are not. If you didn't done a good sehri, you are not supposed to come before iftari, because
right.
if you done a good sehri, you're supposed to come before 1 hour.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very important. And in weight loss and fat loss are two different phenomena.
Right.
Because in weight loss you are starving, you are not eating anything,
Right.
which damage your muscle fibers and break down your body.
Okay.
In fat loss, it's important, and that is the like permanent thing for your body.
Okay.
Even after Ramadan, you can like continue with your workout, and the same weight you lost in the Ramadan, you can continue with your own weight.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. Now, in iftari, for people who are going to the gyms and making sure they're maintaining their health and fitness, what kind of foods should we be taking in, and then after how long should we go to the gym after iftari? So there's 2 questions.
Okay. After iftari, like if you start, let me count calories again
Okay,
for
yeah,
iftari.
please do,
the
yeah.
way I to count for sahri.
Okay.
So in iftari is very important. We, as a Muslim, we believe we start with 1 date or
Yes.
2 dates. So each date go to 20 calories.
Okay.
A good date got 25 calories. If you go with the 2, 3, 4 dates, means you consuming 100 calories straight ahead, like in 2, 3 bites,
Yeah.
and 2 glasses of water. And after the 20 minutes break, so your metabolism get ready for the next intake.
Right.
That is very important.
So 20-minute break, guys, after you have your date and your 2 glasses of water.
Yes, that's
Okay.
very important. Then your metabolism will get ready for the next intake. You will go with some fresh food.
Okay.
Either like seasonal food you available at your home. Don't jump straight to the dinner or some oily
Okay.
stuff. Don't go for like junk food.
Okay.
That is the time, like if you straight jump to the junk food, then your metabolism is done there.
Okay.
And after that, you're feeling full for like next 3-4 hours.
Okay,
And
yeah.
you are not ready for workout. You are not ready for next 3rd hour intake actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so after you have it, you wait 20 minutes, and then you have fresh foods before you have any of your heavy dinner.
Yes.
Okay. So that's what we said even last week as well. You have your fruits maybe, and then after how long should we have the dinner? Or then when should we be exercising then?
Yeah.
Okay.
10 o'clock is the best time. Actually,
Okay.
very honestly, 10 o'clock is the best time, because 7 o'clock you start your iftari and all the stuff. Then after half an hour, 7:30 to 8 o'clock, you go with the dinner.
Okay.
Still you got 2 hours, 1.5 hours to rest, to
Okay.
like relax. Then you hit the gym.
Okay.
And in the gym, it's very important for the viewers to know that you don't need to go for high intense workouts.
Okay.
You need to take a lot of breaks.
Okay.
And especially tell your trainer, like if he's going with the high intense training, that's not good for you.
Okay.
That's damage your muscles.
Okay.
That's going to break down your body. Right at the same moment, maybe you're not feeling it actually, but after Ramadan or after a few days, you're going to feel it like
Okay.
your body is losing it.
Okay, wonderful. And actually, we have to go to Ali Raza now. But thank you so much for being here.
No
It was
problem.
very informative, and these are very things that we can implement. And at the end of the day, these are professionals telling you how to protect your body, because you want to be able to do the full Ramazan as well. You don't want to by the end week be really suffering with it. So for all those people who are into their health and fitness, there was some really good advice. So if you've missed it, do catch it in the repeat. So now Ali Raza, we're going to get up to ek aur naat sunenge, but I'm going to wrap up the show, guys, and Ali Raza is going to lead us out. But if you would like any information on the addiction, if you would like to connect with our psychologist that was here, Mr. Yasser Masood Afaq, and then if you would like to connect with our trainers who have been giving us advice, like today Shah Nawaz, who is here, log on to our Facebook fan page and we will give you all the information. So it is World This Morning. On Twitter, it's World This Morning without a G. On Daily Motion and YouTube, it is World This Morning. The repeat is at 11:05 p.m. in the evening. I hope you have a wonderful Friday. Be good, be safe, and have a great weekend too. So Ali Raza, please.
لو مدینے کی تجلی سے لگائے ہوئے ہیں لو مدینے کی تجلی سے لگائے ہوئے ہیں دل کو ہم مت لائے انوار بنائے ہوئے ہیں لو مدینے کی کشتیاں اپنی کنارے سے لگائے ہوئے ہیں کشتیاں اپنی کنارے سے لگائے ہوئے ہیں وہ کیا ڈوبیں جو محمد کے ترائے ہوئے ہیں وہ کیا ڈوبیں جو محمد کے ترائے ہوئے ہیں لو مدینے کی سر پہ رکھ دیجئے ذرا دستے تسلی آقا غم کے مارے ہیں زمانے کے ستائے ہوئے ہیں لو مدینے کی